So, good evening, everybody. And on behalf of Three Principles Ireland, a very big warm welcome to you all here this evening. And I have to say, it is a beautiful sunny day in Galway, and may it be that way in June when Dicken and Natasha come to us. So it's great to see so many people. At the moment, we have 82 people in the room and still coming in. So I am going to hand over to Peter, who's going to do an introduction, and then it will be over to Dicken and Natasha. So enjoy. This will be about an hour to 75 minutes this evening.
So
All
I love
yours,
you
Peter.
all. I see my name at least one other time on the screen, so this is a new experience for me. So the idea for this evening's webinar emerged out of us planning a two-day event with Dicken and Natasha, which is taking place in Galway in the west of Ireland the last weekend in June. And somewhere along the way, they suggested, what about the idea of doing a little taster event somewhere ahead of the event? So that's what this is. The same theme, a life of ease. Dicken and Natasha will quite likely tell you about the fact that that is also the title of the book that they are putting the finishing touches to. So we in the Three Principles community in Ireland are thrilled that they're coming along to do this, and we're even more thrilled that they're coming to Ireland at the end of June. So without any further ado, I'll hand over to them. We will give you a bit of information about the event at the end of the call. So Dicken and Natasha, welcome, and over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us. We're thrilled to be here. We just spoke before we came on here, and we're chatting about how wonderful it is to be with all of you and also to be coming to Ireland this summer. It's one of my favorite places to be. A life of ease. We really want to invite you to see that this is much simpler than you think. That there's a power inside of you that's been there all along. It might be covered, but it's always been here. Now, when I was growing up, I really wanted life to be easy. I would read any book you told me to read. I would eat any kind of diet that could make my life easier. I would have gone to any seminar that you can imagine, all for the same reason: to have an easier life, to have peace of mind. I bet many of you have felt the same way. That we are told that if you have enough money in your bank account, life is going to be a lot easier for you. Or if you get the right partner, that's the ticket. If you live in the right place, in the right house, have the right circumstances, then life is easy. And so probably like many of you, I grew up believing that to be true. And I tried a lot of different things. Yet in my mid-30s, even though I was very successful as a business consultant, I was living in the right part of Denmark, according to the statistics. I was in a relationship. There was a lot of things that were working for me. I even owned a sushi restaurant, and I love sushi. But I was not happy. In fact, I felt quite depressed. And on the outside, it looked like I had success, but I was unhappy inside. And then when I was 42 years old, I meet a person who tells me about the three principles, and I'm like, what? Never heard about it. Can't be any good. But I was curious. I really liked this woman, and she was telling me about it, and we went to a Michael Neal training together, and I was very curious. What was going on here before my eyes that seemed so easy, yet I couldn't really see what was going on. And that curiosity led me on this path to realize more and more that what I've been looking for all my life is right inside. I didn't know it. I might have intuited it, but I really didn't know it. And I have a sense that that's true for many people. That we, in a way, are seducted into believing that there's something out there that can make us happy, that can give us peace of mind, an easier life. So what this journey is about for me, and also this journey of writing our book together, Life of Ease, is really in a very plain language, let everyone know that this really is quite simple, that we don't have to do a lot of fancy techniques. There's no methods, nothing to remember, that there's something that we keep overlooking because it's inside of us. Now, we may stumble upon this from time to time. And when we spontaneously land in it, it's like, oh, wow. Well, it's because it's a beautiful day. It's because it's it's spring and things are blooming. The birds are singing. We keep equating our sense of well-being with something on the outside because it looks that way, doesn't it? I can hear the birds right now outside my window. So it's easy to think that there's something on the outside that creates my inside. We have it on the other way around. And then when we start to realize, oh, there's something inside here that is always present. There's something inside that is an incredible power. Life starts to become easier. Not because anything in the outside circumstances change, but because I start looking within rather than without. I start realizing that I'm part of a larger whole. I'm part of an intelligence beyond this tiny little intelligence in my own little personal mind. And all the things that I needed to run towards and work very hard to get and control and predict, all that working very hard, running very fast, I start to realize that I don't have to do that. That there's something guiding us constantly. It's easy to see in nature. We see the birds flying away in the wintertime, coming back around now. We see all the things that are coming out of the ground. It's easy to see in nature, but it's as if we people have overlooked that we are part of the same nature. We work in exactly the same way. It's the same intelligence that's living us, that's living in nature. We overlook it, and because we overlook it, we think that we are the ones in control. We think that we must be. If I let go of the wheel, nothing will happen. My life will go to hell. So we're running fast. We're using our intellect to try and control things, to try to get things to happen. And we miss the sense that we can align ourselves with of life itself. Life itself moves us, guides us, always has, always will. And when we allow ourselves to align with that life, something incredible happens. It feels like a miracle. Things that seem difficult fall away. Paths that we'd never thought about appear to us. I was reflecting the other day on how the intellect is such a great machine. It can really help with a lot of things. And I've been trying to figure out some things lately. I've been trying to use my intellect to find the solutions. The thing about the intellect is that it always uses, like I sometimes think of it as a little black box. And in that little black box is all the things that I know. And when I have an issue, I try to solve that issue with my intellect. So here's a problem, here comes the intellect to try and solve it. But what I see more and more is that we have this wisdom. We're connected to the wisdom of the entire. Oops, sorry, I hadn't switched that off. We're connected to this incredible, I'm sorry, intelligence, this wider picture that doesn't only look at this certain problem that the intellect is trying to solve, but looks at everything all at once. So is able to see that this person needs to be involved in this kind of problem, and this it sees the whole thing. I sometimes think of it as like we're looking through a little keyhole, and all I can see is what I can see through my keyhole. But there's a wisdom, there's an intelligence that sees everything. So very often when I've been fighting and trying to figure out solutions to things, I may be able to find something that has worked before, but when I leave it over to this guiding wisdom, something new comes in, a completely fresh idea that I hadn't thought about. Something occurs to me. Oh, you could call this person. Or, oh, why didn't I think about that before? It's easy. It comes with ease. So something very powerful happens when we start to really see that we are part of this intelligence behind all of life, that we are life itself. Like a wave in the ocean is still ocean. We might have different sizes and shapes, but we're all made of the same. And that's one of the beautiful things about the principles, is that it points to what we are on a deeper level, what we all connected to, what we all are part of. And you can sense, even probably right now, if you go within for a moment, life, sense of life. It might be easy for you to connect with, it might be more difficult, but there's something that's alive in you right now. Even if you ask yourself a question, am I alive? You have to check, don't you? Well, yes. Are you aware? Yeah, I'm aware. Do you think? Yep, I think. The three principles are that: thought, consciousness, and mind. And we live them. We are the principles in action. So when we start to see the bigger picture, when we start to see who we are behind the surface level, what we are beneath the surface level, then something amazing happens. We start to be much more sensitive to the guiding that's happening all the time. We start to sense the small nudges that's taking us in different directions. And that's what creates this sense of ease. It's not that the circumstances change. I still have lots of different challenges in my life. But the way I deal with them have changed completely, because I trust that there is this guiding force behind everything and within me, this incredible power right here, right now, in every single one of us, available at all times, under all circumstances. Isn't that great news? It's right here, right now. That was what I was inspired to start with today.
It sure was good news to me, Natasha. Great news. I had no idea how much my thinking burdened me, weighed on me. weighed me down, made me anxious, made me depressed, made me upset. You can see people. You just walk down the street. I remember walking down the street in Dublin. You could see people that were unburdened. You could hear the music coming out of them. It's really easy. And then you'd see other people, very serious, tense. I want to share with you what I've learned about how easy it is to become unburdened and to live more like we lived when we were little children. Many of you have heard me talk many, many times about how much I learned just watching people who are unburdened of any age. I love watching my grandkids just all day long. Because they're unburdened, they're lighthearted. They dance, they sing, they run, they play, they jump, they laugh, they laugh. I thought as you became an adult, you had to become very responsible for everything in your life, which in my case meant thinking about everything that I felt like I was responsible for. So as I became older, I did more and more and more thinking, so that it was harder and harder for me to be fully present. Isn't that something? The more education I got, the older I got, the more serious I got, the less playful I became, the more anxious I became, the more stressed I became. And I assumed, well, that's just part of being an adult. So I studied everything I could to learn how to have more well-being. And I worked and I worked and I worked and I worked on having well-being. It seemed elusive because no matter how much I worked, I still had so much anxiety. And I did not like my anxiety. When I felt it, I went, oh God, I hate feeling this way. I didn't like how I was when I was all stressed. I didn't like what kind of parent I was. I didn't like what kind of husband I was. I had no idea that the only thing that kept me from being like the little 5-year-old teachers that I have, the only thing keeping me from being lighthearted and playful and enjoying life was a misunderstanding. And working on myself didn't clear up that misunderstanding. I thought if you were anxious and stressed, you had to work really hard and use a lot of techniques in order to become unstressed, unburdened, happier. It's the opposite. You just have to understand how this works. It doesn't require work. Our freedom, our well-being is always inside of us, perfectly developed, and it can't be damaged because it's spiritual. It's formless. It's energy. It's life energy. It's our true nature, our true self. I had been a psychologist for 10 years, and I had not heard a single person say, Dicken, you have perfect well-being inside all the time. All the time. And the only thing that ever covers that up is you leave the present moment and you start thinking about things that create tension, stress, or upset. That's the only psychological problem you have. You do a lot of thinking that creates tension, stress, or upset, and you don't realize it. You don't know that that's the problem. Because when I felt anxious and stressed, you know what I did? What most people do? I thought it was the amount of work I had. I thought it was situations were stressful. I thought certain people were stressful. I had no clue that 100% of my stress was created when I leave the present moment and think about things in a way that generates tension. And that if I realize that, it brings me back to the present moment. There's nothing wrong with that. Those feelings, it's just a misunderstanding when we think our stress has to do with something other than our thinking. No one had told me that. I'd been a psychologist 10 years. No one said there's only one psychological problem. You hold on to thoughts that create stress. People hate being chronically stressed, hate being serious all the time. It doesn't feel good. We don't like feeling burdened. We don't like being confused. We don't like being anxious. We don't like being depressed. Well, the answer I thought might be on the outside, so I tried all different things on the outside. Money, food, sex, drugs, rock and roll. The long list. Maybe this will make me happy. Relationships. Just a misunderstanding. Sydney Banks was the first person that I had ever met that had gone completely beyond his intellect into a space that's available to every single one of us. And he was insistent about that his whole life. You have this space inside of you, but you can't think your way into it. No one can. It's impossible. I've tried. Isn't it interesting? Most adults, when they're feeling stress of any kind, tension in your body, stress, they do more thinking because they have a misunderstanding that it's impossible to think your way to well-being. You can't think your way to the present moment, which is the only place we can experience well-being. You can't think your way to answers to problems. I tried. I see people around me trying. I see people like me as they get older doing more and more and more thinking. I've worked in some of the top countries in the United States. One problem, people overthink everything and they get closed off to life, closed off to the feelings that lift us, closed off to new and fresh thinking, closed off to our relationships innocently. When Sydney Banks said to me, Dicken, you're no different than anybody else. You have perfect well-being inside. I cried. Because he said it from such a deep knowing that I knew he knew something that I didn't know. And it rang true to me. I was talking to a group of people from Sweden the other day, and I just shared some things that clear up this misunderstanding. And people just started crying, or they got goosebumps, one or the other. People got goosebumps or cried. When people hear something that's true, it resonates. Not in your intellect, just a knowing of its truth. We are connected to an infinite field of energy, and that energy is what's living us and running us. It's like you have a computer, but it's not plugged into electricity. You wouldn't call it a computer because it couldn't compute. It couldn't live. If you tried to take the energy out of a human being, they would be dead in an instant. You couldn't think, you couldn't be aware, you wouldn't feel alive, because energy is what makes us feel alive. And Sydney Banks discovered that that energy is full of intelligence, wisdom, that will solve any problem you have easily, that will guide you through any difficulty. It's the intelligence that knows how to create the universe intelligence. My little pea-brain computer can't compete with the intelligence of the universe. What a gift that we're connected to that intelligence. No one is wiser than you. You have the same, you're part of the same field of intelligent life energy as anybody else. We're all waves on the same ocean. No one can say, I'm ocean and you're not. It doesn't even matter if you're a little wave. When it comes to ocean, we're all the same. You can stop trying to be somebody else or somebody different or somebody better. You already are this perfect unity with nature, with life. And then Sid Banks realized that that infinite field of life energy is conscious, it's aware, it's alive. Everything that is created is born of consciousness, made of consciousness. So consciousness is such a gift. It allows me to see you. It allows my senses to come alive, allows me to see you, hear you, feel you, taste you, touch you. What a gift. If we weren't connected to this energy of life, we wouldn't have any awareness of anything. We'd have no senses. Isn't it interesting that when we're caught up in our thinking and stressing out, people say, you've got to come to your senses. Isn't that interesting? You got to come to your senses. And then Sid Banks realized that that intelligence is full of creative potential, full of the possibility of new and fresh thoughts and ideas that are created fresh in the moment. No end to that creative potential. And then he went on to say, your true self is creative potential, awakeness, aliveness, and wisdom. And that when we drop into that quiet within us, we experience those things free. And we get a glimpse of enlightenment. And Sid says there's only one problem. We get caught up in thought and hold on to it. You can't drop into your heart, into your soul, into your life energy while you're caught up and blocking life energy from flowing through you. Okay, so there's some hints. And I just have 3 hints for you today. I love Sid would give us hints all the time because we were pretty wedded to our own beliefs and ideas, wedded to a misunderstanding that we had grown up with. My first hint: You're going to experience stress because there's times when you're going to get caught up in your thinking. I can see you. You can't hide. You can't hide. We all at times get caught up in our thinking, and it starts creating stress. That's the only place stress can come from, being caught up in our own thinking, not being fully present. Because when you're fully present, you can't hold on to a single thought. If you're fully present, thoughts are just flowing through you, but you're not paying attention to them. You're not holding any of them, and you're not believing any of them to be true. You're free. So you are a free thinker. It's built into you to be a free thinker. But in order to be a free thinker, we can't hold on to thought and experience freedom, psychological freedom. So, first hint, you're going to experience stress, but the hint is let stress be your friend. It's a good thing. It's really a good thing if you understand it, because it's like an alarm clock going off, trying to wake you up out of the thinking you're holding on to so that you can be fully present to your kids, to your wife, to life, to problems, to situations. Wake up. So we have a built-in alarm system. Thank God. What a beautiful thing. Oh my God, it's so beautiful that that happens. I used to hate my stress, and I thought I just have to get rid of it. Now I go, thank you for reminding me that I'm connected to an intelligent, wise, loving, creative life energy. And you're inviting me back to the present moment so that I can experience life fully, being fully open and receptive to what? To love, to wisdom, to beauty. When our senses wake up, we experience beauty. Sid says, if you really see that stress is thought, there's no technique. It'll bring you back to the now. If you put your hand on a hot stove, you don't use a technique. No one has asked me for a technique. How do I get my hand off the stove? You do this. If you really see holding thought is burning you, burdening you, weighing you down, stressing you, boom. Why would I hold on to anything that makes me feel not only stressed, but cut off from my love and wisdom temporarily? Okay, that's the first hint. Let stress be your friend. It can wake you up to the now. It'll help you become like a kid again faster than anything you know. It'll help you become just like you were when you were 5 years old, resilient. In other words, you get upset, but you don't think about it. You don't hold on to it. You come back to the present moment, and before you know it, it's gone. They say, even at the worst, 6 minutes. Hey, can you manage that? 6 minutes of worry instead of an hour? 6 minutes of stress instead of a life of stress? 6 minutes of being down instead of a life of depression? I've seen miracles happen. People have spent their whole life in anxiety and stress, beginning to understand the nature of how the mind works, of how thought creates stress, no other source, and that beyond our thinking, there's this quiet space within us. It's always there. Rumi called it that space inside of us that's quiet and full of love and wisdom. He called it the tavern, and you go there to meet your friends and hear music and get intoxicated on spirit. That's called being really happy, intoxicated in spirit. Well, I've been to a few Irish pubs, and it's a great metaphor for what lies inside of us. Oh, some of the best music I've heard in my life. I'm drinking a pint of Guinness, and this little 16-year-old girl comes up with her flute and sits next to my wife and I say, "Are you going to play?" And she goes, "Yeah, they've invited me to play with them." all the best local musicians invited her to play. And after a while, she joined them. Oh my God, was it beautiful? You have music inside of you called joy, happiness, aliveness. So my second hint is that anytime you are really resting in the now, your thoughts will flow, you'll get over your upset. To be fully in the now, there is no holding of thought in the now. As soon as you give your attention to your thinking and start thinking, you've left the present moment. So this is what I told my daughter. When you're fully present and your mind quiets down, you'll always fill up with beautiful feeling. She started learning that when she was 14. She's 50 now. She is like a kid. Sure, she has her down times. We all do. We all get caught up. It's not a problem because stress is your friend. In the now, you fill up with feelings of well-being, peace, joy, love, contentment, compassion, caring, courage, strength. It's built into us. Sid used to say, you have beautiful feelings inside of yourself. You just have to find them. More accurately, you just have to get out of the way so they can shine through you. Third hint. When you wake up to the now and are not holding but are open and receptive, you'll start to fill up with a nicer feeling. And when your mind is quiet and your heart is full of feeling, that feeling is full of wisdom. It's full of knowing, and it will guide you. In other words, the way I told it to my daughter when she was learning this, I said, when you're quiet, you're going to feel better and you're going to have all the common sense you need to do well in life. So I told my daughter, simple as 1, 2, 3. Stress is your friend to wake you up out of your thinking. Rest in the now, and you'll fill with feelings of well-being. And when that happens, trust your own common sense. Trust what feels right, what makes sense, and just let that intelligence live you. It's doing it anyways. It's doing it all the time. It's always when this is over, you'll stand up and you'll walk out of the room. You won't be using your intellect to tell your legs how to move so you don't bump into things. That's wisdom. You drive a car. You're not going to be trying to figure out with your intellect how far to move the steering wheel every second. That's wisdom guiding you. If you're in a family crisis and you're getting stressed out and you realize it and you wake up to the now, that stress will start to open up and there'll be just enough relief, just enough well-being to start shining through. And you'll have all the guidance you need. You won't make a mess of things. You'll say the right things. You won't even have to think about it. That's how Sid said, wisdom is a formless intelligence. It's the intelligence that's there before you process it with the intellect. It's our natural response to life. Our natural movement through life is that wisdom. So we're going to go, Natasha and I are going to go into this with more stories, more practical, more how extraordinarily easier life becomes when you clear up the misunderstandings about where your experience comes from and your capacity for well-being. Honest to God, it's going to be fun. It'll be interactive. There'll be plenty of time for us to hear what you're seeing that's coming alive and to answer any questions you might have. So that's what came to me 10 minutes before we came on the talk. I had told Natasha I've been thinking about this for a few days and had all these ideas, and well, this is what came up just before we came on. This hints. I hadn't even planned on doing that, but it came out that way. A quiet mind, new and fresh, comes in the music.
Isn't this great news, folks? That there's a misunderstanding that most of us have lived with, that our intellect is seeing life in such a small way compared to who and what we really are. It's a misunderstanding. And once we realize that it's not the way we thought it was, we immediately have access to so much more creativity, inspiration, motivation. It's immediate. I bet any one of you who've come in touch with the three principles, either if it's just recently or this is brand new to you or you've been in the understanding for a few years, something has touched you, something has awakened something in you because it's true. Isn't it great news that we're not saying, go out from here and remember these 10 things or do these exercises or you have to master these techniques? We're saying the opposite. We're saying that you're already built to have a life of ease. You just didn't, nobody told you. No one told you that you already have everything you need inside. So this is the best news ever. To me it is, and that's why I'm continuously excited about sharing this to as many people I can possibly get in touch with, as is Dicken. Some of the work we do together is to reach all parts of the globe. It's so great to see people from so many places here, Africa and United States and Europe, lots of different places. It's wonderful that this understanding is reaching so many places, that Sydney Banks' hopeful message is coming out to so many. Isn't it wonderful to finally see something that is easier than anything you've ever done? It sure was to me. And so a life of ease is really an invitation to look within, see what and who you really are. See that you're not the limiting beliefs that you might have grown up believing, either because your family said you were this or that, or you just started to believe it. You're something so much more. And the more you realize that, the more you see it, the more all the labels fall away all by themselves. Things you used to believe about yourself fall away. I sometimes like the image of thinking of having post-it notes, all, covered in post-it notes throughout my life. Like I am a girl, or I am good at math, or I'm great at table tennis, or I'm bad at blah, blah, blah. No, all these labels, and just more and more as I grow into maturity here, they fall off. And I just am. We all just are. And it's so freeing. not trying to live up to all the labels that I thought I was, all the labels that others wanted me to be. There's something incredibly freeing in letting the labels go. And you know, yellow stickers, they don't stick very well, do they? They can fall off pretty easily when you see that you are so much more than your body, than your thoughts, than your beliefs, than your capabilities. Sure, you include all of those, but you transcend them too. You're much more than that. You are the universe in action. So this is wonderful news, and we love sharing this with people. And in our new book, we're trying to reach an audience that goes outside of the Three Principles community, which our first book very much was written towards. This is really for new people. We're trying to say this as plainly as we can so that more and more people can realize this misunderstanding and start living with more peace of mind and an easier life. So Dicken, should we open up for questions?
Yes, my favorite part of this.
So we'd love to hear from you. So if you have a question, down in the React in the bottom of your screen probably, there's a button that says raise hand. I'm going to do it so you can see it. It has a little yellow hand or some color hand. And it'll help us to see who wants to have a question or ask a question. Eva, yeah.
Okay.
Hi. Well, it's not actually a question, but a takeaway. Because I found a lot of pleasure in flowers, and I'm starting a cutting garden. I started last year, and I did some erfaringer. Natasha. Experiences last year for how not to do it. And this year I'm doing it differently. And I started with enthusiasm, and I still have enthusiasm, but I also see that I'm using a lot of stress because my head is leading me according to what I'm doing, and I can feel it. So I feel the resistance for what I actually love to do. But what I heard in what you were saying is, in how can I ask me the question, how can I do this in another way? Because this is a process that I really knew very well. And years ago, it made me sick.
Yeah.
And I know it's stress, and I can pause, and I can know that there is some peace down. So I heard that I could ask me the question, what will wisdom show me? How can I do this differently? With more ease.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, bless your heart, Eva.
So thank you.
It's very practical what we're talking about, Eva, because you're right. You can ask, or you can leave it to the universe to find a way. When Dicken and I write together, we very often get stuck. We'll be writing and it's going well and it's flowing, and then suddenly we get stuck and we don't know what to do, except we know one thing to do, which is to close the computer, to leave the writing for a moment, to go for a walk or have a cup of tea. And at some point, one or the other will get a new idea. Oh, we could do this. And then we get back and open the computer. That's just one way it's practical.
I like the metaphor. Our hand is meant to be this way. And we can do this. But if you stay with your hand clenched, very quickly it hurts. Eckhart Tolle is a spiritual teacher, a modern day spiritual teacher. He said something that I couldn't agree with more. About 95% of our thinking is not helpful or necessary. So if we spend all of our time thinking about our lives, we're clenching. We'll get serious, we'll get rigid, we'll get more and more fearful. One time Sid Banks says, you know what ego is? Everything you think. And then he said, you know what ego is? It's fear. Because only while we leave the present moment and hold on to thought do we experience fear. And when we let go of fearful thoughts, that energy within us starts to open up and radiate, and we experience well-being or love. So you can say the human body can only contract or expand, fear or love. Fear is created innocently by us. Now, there's lots of things you can think about that don't create stress or fear or anxiety. That's called using your mind wisely. But as soon as you try to use your computer to do something it wasn't built for, it creates stress. So thank God there's stress. It lets us know it's time. As we tell our teenagers, you've had enough screen time. You've had enough thinking time. Number one problem in a relationship, overthinking. Number one problem in the workplace, overthinking. Number one problem in terms of our mental well-being, overthinking. And it's only because we haven't woken up to the fact that when we're not thinking, we're still thinking. It's a different kind of thinking. There's a thinking we do when you can tell when you're with someone. If they're listening to you, you can tell when suddenly they're no longer listening. You can see them go off into thinking. It's really easy. It's really, really easy. And when we're listening, it just means we're not leaving the present moment. And a different kind of thinking comes, it's thinking that comes to us. Oh, we could do this. Oh, what about this? Any human being, when they're fully present, will start getting new and fresh thinking. It's a creative process. It's built into us. We're creative beings. The universe creates. That's what it does. All we need to do is be open and receptive. You can't be open and receptive to love and wisdom if you're thinking. If I'm with my wife and I'm thinking, she'll say, tell me, you're not here. And that's not what I call love. And when I became more present, my wife started feeling more love coming from me. My kids did. They noticed it. It's what we all want for ourselves and for our family, for our friends. I want to raise kids that can enjoy being in the present moment and experience a lot of joy and happiness and beauty and be very kind-hearted and loving and compassionate. That's what we all want. Well, it's built into us already. And isn't it nice there's only one problem? We hold thought. There's one cure, waking up out of that thought so that this deeper feeling and deeper knowing can flow through us naturally. It's right there, just waiting. It's just waiting to come forward. Any other comments or questions? Is any of this? Let Natasha and I know what's resonating with you. What's helpful? What's interesting? What's making sense? Yeah, John.
Thanks, Dicken and Natasha. I'm loving what I'm hearing, but I have a question in terms of you reference limiting beliefs, Natasha, and the way you talk about thought, both of you, when you go inside and you get that peace and the thought disappears. But if the thoughts have been built on a really, really, really solid foundation of, let's say, 40 years or 50 years of indoctrination, you make it seem like they can just fall away like that. In my experience of working with the principles for a while, it seems like a jackhammer has been taken to some of my thoughts, and there's still a wee bit more concrete to go through before they fall away. Could you speak to that a bit, please?
Do you want to start, Dicken?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's quite often when I'm listening to the words you're using, you're saying words like concrete and solid and on a foundation of 40 or 50 years. But have you ever seen a thought? What's it made of? It's energy. And so every single thought you have is created in the moment. When you don't think about it, it doesn't exist. It can't sit anywhere. Where would it be? So even our thoughts about what thoughts are, that they're solid, that they're concrete, that they're deeply rooted in me. We hear this in people's language all the time. Oh, it's deep within. Well, has anyone ever seen a thought inside of somebody? Where would it be? It's energy that's created in the moment. And yes, we have seen thousands of times between us that thoughts fall away. Not by doing anything other than seeing what it's made of. That's one of the hints, if we're going to use that word, that Sydney Banks gave us, to see the nature of thought, which is that it's something that comes and goes. It's not solid. So one of the directions that Dicken and I like to take when we teach together, when we do workshops and when we write, is to help people notice what is solid. What is the only thing you can rely on? What is it that doesn't come and go? When you notice that thoughts, movement is coming and going, that it's arising in the moment and then it's gone again. And yes, you can then go back and think it again and go back and think it again. But each time you think it, it's a new thought, it's energy. There's nothing solid about it. So when you start, in a way, taking attention away from what comes and goes, and instead look at what doesn't come and go, the only thing that doesn't come and go, which is the consciousness behind all the thoughts that arise. Then you start to be more solid in knowing who you are. And it's at that time, thoughts are still going to come and go, but you're not going to pay attention to them. I sometimes see it as, for instance, at the moment, there's so much drama going on in the world. It's like America's one big reality show at the moment. Sorry, Dicken, but there's so much.
I couldn't agree more. So you don't have to be sorry. Trust me.
I know, Dicken, but it's
ego run rampant is what it is.
Exactly.
You want to see what ego looks like.
That's what it looks like. But what I wanted to say about it is that we can be lured into the drama and have all kinds of emotions about it, or we can step back, see what unites us, see our common unity, community, see what we all are, rest in that peace, which is consciousness, which is what we all are. That is the oneness that Sydney Banks saw. Is this making sense to you, John? It's the difference between looking at what comes and go and really paying attention and keep on holding on to that, to letting go of it and actually realizing what is solid, what is always here.
Does the thought that comes and goes repeatedly not leave a conditioning in the body?
It doesn't, there's never been a thought found in the body. The conditioning is true. You're right, John. It is conditioning. But even that is something that comes and goes. So when you start paying more attention to what doesn't come and go, then the conditioning is not going to affect you.
John, when I was learning the principles, initially I had a very low level of understanding, even though I was learning the principles. And so I could only do the best I could given that level. So I still, for a long time, because of my misunderstanding, I'd feel anxious, and then I'd talk to myself as if my intellect could solve it. And I'd go, Dicken, it's just thought. Drop it. Come on. What's wrong with you? You know it's thought. It didn't help me. It was, as what Sid would say, ego fighting ego. But I was starting to feel a little bit better in a lot of my life. But I just kept being a student and kept listening and kept listening. And when I had insights, my level would go up and suddenly it would become easier. And then when Sid would say things like, you're a thought away from everything you're looking for, I didn't know what that meant for years. I couldn't believe it, that I'm a thought away. Well, if you were totally caught up in your condition thinking, John, and I came into your house and said, John, your house is on fire, you wouldn't say, oh, I'm sorry. I'm so caught up in my condition thinking I can't become present so I can run out of the house. It'd take you 1 second to be present and go, oh my God, what's happening? And you'd jump right up and your wisdom would take you right out or to grab whatever you needed to grab, like family. and get them out. You wouldn't even have to think about it. Immediately, you'd have access to love and wisdom. But we don't realize that. We have to realize it. So sometimes Natasha and I make it sound like it's so immediate. Well, we're students. And as you keep listening, John, I guarantee, like I've been doing this 37 years since I met Sid. This year is easier than last year. So sometimes I talk about the end of my journey rather than when I first started, when it didn't seem easy to me particularly because of my level of understanding. But as these misunderstandings got cleared up more and more, it just got easier and easier to realize when I'm caught up, be grateful for that stress, drop into the present moment, which is one thought away, and just rest there. not get interested in whatever my conditioning was yelling at me. That's gotten easier. So hang in there, John. Keep being a student. Keep listening. I listened to Sid Banks thousands of times, and gradually every little insight took me up to a higher level.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good. Hi.
Hi, good morning.
Hello.
Hello.
Also nice to see you two together.
Good to see you.
I just a thought come to me, and I was on a webinar some time ago, and there was one of them says that our ego is a friend, and I couldn't understand that. I haven't seen that in myself, and still I haven't. And I have asked some, and they have, yeah, tried to explain to me how they see it, but I can't. So I look at it more like an enemy. So,
Yeah.
what kind of thinking you have about that?
Gun, I know you enough to know that there have been times when you've realized you're caught up in thought, right?
I have, I promise.
So there are times when you felt stress and realized you're just caught up in thought, because that's stress is just thought held on to. Now, didn't that help you when you realized that you were just caught up in thought?
Of course, yes. When I
Well,
see
caught up in thought is ego. So ego felt so bad that it woke you up to your thinking. That's
you,
what I mean. It's a friend. It's
so
been helping you. It's been helping you for a long time now, Gun, because I know you.
So you actually mean that my ego, when I'm caught up in my hamster wheel, as I said,
Yes.
so that itself wake me up to what's going
Yes.
on.
Yes, it does. It has. It already has been for a long time now.
Mm.
That's what I mean. It's like I don't love my alarm clock when it goes off, but I'm grateful for it. And I keep using it because sometimes I need to wake up at a certain time, and it goes off and it wakes me up. And I go, oh, thank you. I don't really like that loud noise, but thank you.
That I can.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, really.
There
It
you
was
go.
another way, really.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
John.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Cool. Okay, so this weekend I had an experience of like really having a great weekend, and I was kind of doing nothing. It was like, spring is coming. I was just sitting outside in our garden, watching the kids play around, drinking a beer, doing nothing, not really thinking a lot, like the entire day. Then we did a walk, then went back, just sit some more in the garden, but really, not really doing anything, but just like, and I did the same thing like Sunday. Then we topped it up with a trip, with a walk in the forest, but still like not really doing anything, and really had a great Saturday and a really great Sunday. And then Sunday night it struck me like, okay, if we went to Thailand for 2 weeks, in a fancy hotel and had like palm trees and the pools, I could at maximum have the same happiness as I had in my garden doing nothing.
Yes.
And I had this like at the one side of like, this is really, really great. And the other side like, oh fuck, what, how, then what? My life has always been like, get a better job, get some higher salary. Should I build a company? Should I like, live in 1 year in the future, or maybe 2 years in future or more? And now it's just like, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a dilemma in my mind. I don't know if you get what I mean.
Completely.
Yeah.
Well, think of all the money you save.
Yeah.
But look at what it's pointing to, Jon. Look at what it's pointing to.
Yeah.
You're just being. You're just in the present moment, enjoying your kids, enjoying the garden, the sun, the spring, not thinking, not doing. It's right here.
Yeah.
It's always here, and it has always been there. You've just been so busy trying, controlling, getting things done.
Yeah.
So, how great. Thank you for sharing that.
I sometimes call that space you dropped into, John, vacation consciousness. And you can literally vacate your intellect and be fully present, and you're on vacation, no matter where you are. And it is true. It is true.
Yeah, I don't know where actually I read that. Maybe it was your guy, the books of your guys, but where it was said like you can go on vacation for 6 weeks and then work for 46 weeks to go on those 6 weeks of vacation. But you could also feel like having vacation every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
There you go. Try that one out, John.
Yeah, but now I'll just be brief. I just had the, in my job, I'm preparing a tender offer where we're reading like 1,000 pages, and it's very complex and it's very hard and very important to win this tender. And my mind could be like in all kinds of worries. And then one day I just sit and then I said, okay, today I'm just going to read and see how long I get. And then at the end of the day, it was like I had a really great day doing something that could be really boring.
Yeah.
You've got it, John.
Yeah.
Life of ease.
Yeah, life of ease. Well, we have one more question. Let's end with Billy. How perfect.
The man.
Wait, thank you. It's actually an observation, okay? And I think Jan has just spoken so beautifully to it. I debated putting my hand down, but there's two things I want to say. First off is my expression of gratitude to the both of you for tonight. It's been a wonderful conversation. And the second expression of gratitude, because I want to do it publicly here, or the committee, the Three Principles Ireland Committee, the amount of work that these guys are doing in the background, I just want to publicly acknowledge them. I'm part of the committee, I know that, but the work that I do is nominal in comparison to the mammoth work that the lads are doing. So I just want to acknowledge that publicly while we have the chance. It's them that are making all of this possible to have you here in this country. And we're so looking forward to it. But my reflection to it, and I think Jan just summed it up so beautifully, is the simplicity of it. I'm sitting here and I've been listening to you for the last hour and 15 minutes, and just over and over and over and over, constantly reminded just of the simplicity of Sid's message. The simplicity of it all, the power to, the gift, I suppose, that we've all been granted, the ability just to say, hang on a sec. This is so much simpler than I'm making this right now. And as you were saying, Natasha, it's still only energy at the end of the day. It all is energy at the end of the day. And the recognition, for me, the recognition of the simplicity of that was that life-turning moment for me. And I just want to express my appreciation for an hour and 15 minutes of an extraordinary reminder of just how simple it all can be when we let it be that way. So I just want to say thank you very much on behalf. That was my reflection. Thank you.
Thanks, Billy. And I'm glad you recognized all the work going on behind the scenes now. And the 3P Ireland is really getting stronger and bigger. And how many international communities are there in the 3P global community now has how many?
18, I think. 18.
18 international communities of people who are learning this understanding and sharing this understanding and providing seminars and trainings and workshops based on this amazing discovery.
Thank you so much, 3P Ireland, for putting this together, for inviting us. We have loved being here.
We've loved having you.
I hope
Yeah.
many of you can join us the last weekend in June
Yes.
near Galway.
Yeah. And
It'll
thanks
be-
everyone for coming. It'll be very fun. Well, thanks everyone for coming. Peter, you want to say something as we close?
Just really to echo
Okay.
thanks the way Billy expressed it. So thank you, Natasha and Dicken. I've thoroughly enjoyed the session. You mentioned feeling as you were talking. I've certainly got that. Some of you might have noticed in the chats that there was a web link that went in. So for anybody who is interested, who hasn't already registered, there's information there on the event in Galway. And there is the option of either coming to Galway, which is in the beautiful west of Ireland. Angelina, who you'll see on screen, is like an honorary member of the Tourist Association for that part of the country. But there's also the option of joining online and getting linked through Zoom, which would be another interactive way of joining us if you're not able to physically be with us in Galway. So thank you for all the people who joined. I know there's a number of people who couldn't join, but are looking forward to the recording. So we plan to get the recording out to you in the next couple of days. So thank you and go well. And as Billy put it, remember the simplicity. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Peter and Angelina, thank you.
Yes,
Thanks.
Great to see you all.
yeah.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Dicken and
guys.
Natasha.
Looking forward to Galway.